WWE's got a show this weekend, and I know we've talked about this before, but Saturday's main event made its big return about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, if you will. On NBC, a big return, all the excitement, and since then, for the most part, it's kind of found itself kind of getting a little lesser and lesser important. Now, I think this week's event might be a little more important than the most recent one, which was back in January in Montreal. But still doesn't have, obviously, this feels like a B show pay-per-view, if you will. But this week's show, this Saturday in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which kind of takes me back to some Saturday main events locations from the early 90s, because we know Fort Wayne, Indiana isn't really a place where WWE's even hosting Raws and SmackDowns on a regular basis. But this week's show, I like to dub it WWE's Women's Saturday Night's Main Event, because 3 out of the 5 matches are women's matches. It is the majority of the show this week. It was 3 out of 4 matches announced until they added the tag team match with Logan Paul and all of them. But what do you make of the women really taking charge? I guess it really makes Clash in Italy feel like a Saudi Arabia event, because that's how it would be in the past. We got to get the women on this show because they're not going to be on that show at all. But that's not the case in Italy. But here it's 3 out of 5 matches. If you were having a ticket to this event, what do you make of this card? You're not obviously expecting, WrestleMania with a Saturday's main event ticket, but what do you make out of the fact that 3 out of 5 matches here are women's matches? And do you like the matches that are being presented?
Yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy all of the matches, women's, men's matches. I'm completely fine with it because you know what? Women's wrestling is pretty darn good. We're in a great era of that. And, there's a huge pipeline, down in NXT that's getting better. We're actually going to see, speaking of a recent call up from NXT, we're going to see an Intercontinental Women's Championship match.
Well, I'll stop you there. That has been the back and forth here. It's been not Intercontinental title match. Yes, Intercontinental title match. And most recently advertised is, again, not Intercontinental title match. So you're talking about Sol Ruca. So tell me, what do you make of Becky Lynch versus Sol Ruca if it's for the title or not for the title? Does it change your idea of, who's going to win this match either way?
Yeah, it does. If it's for the Intercontinental Championship, Becky wins. But if this is what they're advertising, because I was reading different things, if that is the case where it's just a regular singles match, then I think Sol Ruca is going to get her first main roster victory against Becky Lynch, which will then set up a future Intercontinental Championship match with Becky Lynch, which I still think Becky will retain, but it'll set it. I think it would set it up is what I'm thinking.
Do you think it lessens though? Like obviously this is treated like, also like a PLE, right? It's exactly a PLE. It's on Peacock, right? Which it still is on Peacock for those who are still wondering where these shows are going and what Peacock still has left with WWE. This is still on Peacock in the United States. Do you think, though, like this should be for the Intercontinental title to make it matter to be on an event like this and take it away from just being, I guess, on Raw?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the difference is if the title's on the line, I think it could be the main event. If it's not on the line, then it's going to be somewhere in the middle of the card. That's kind of where I stand with it.
Well, as of right now, it's not advertised. Like I said, they've put up the graphic where it says Intercontinental Championship match, and then they've put up a new graphic without those wording. As of right now, it does say on the thing just singles match. But what do you think? I mean, we got 5 matches total, which is a little bit bigger than the previous Saturday's main event, actually, because we were having like 1 per half an hour in previous incarnations of this event. We got 5 at this one, kind of to make up for the fact there's no Cody matches, there's no Roman Reigns matches, neither of them are on the card. No world title. Not just a world title line. No world champion is even going to make an appearance at this event. Really kind of strange, I guess. But, I guess that's good or bad for WWE. That's good that you have such a roster that you can put on a WWE event on television where the world title doesn't even make an appearance. Or even, one of your major stars, no CM Punk appearances or anything like that. What do you think would be the main event of this card, if you were to guess?
If I had to guess, as it pertains to what you just laid out with one match actually not being for the title at this stage, who knows? That could change between now and Saturday. Who knows at this point? But it seems like Sol Ruca and Becky Lynch will be a non-title match. So if I had to ponder a guess, I guess I would probably say Ethan Page and Penta is going to be the main event.
Now, Ethan Page and Penta on the top stage here. Penta is one of those names that I think is a big name, but he's like LA Knight, right? He's a big name, but still is like on the upper mid card. He's stuck at the upper mid card. Remember, he made his debut in WWE over a year ago, prior to like Royal Rumble 2025.
Yeah.
No world title, matches, spots for him yet. But I think he should be there if he's not there already. So what are you expecting Penta to essentially be the Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns? I know Ethan Page, he just got called up, so I don't want to put this much on him, but is Penta, I know he's on the poster, and is that for good reason, right? Is he the one carrying this card? Is he the Cody Rhodes of this show?
Yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think he is. I think to me, he's the feature attraction to this show because I do. You're right, though. He is upper mid card, but he has such a following that people will pay their money to go see Penta because he's exciting to watch. He's just a great entertainer, and he's just a great worker all the way around. So I think he's the feature talent on this, and that's not a bad thing. But I don't even think this. But here's the thing. I do see a title match. I see a title change in one of these title matches, and it's not that one. I can tell you what I think is going to be a title change, and here's what I'll say. I'm gonna go on record. I'm gonna take a shot at it, take a crack at it. I think the Street Profits are going to win the World Tag Team Championships over the Vision. And I believe the reason why this happens is we get an appearance from Seth freaking Rollins, who helps those guys out, which then the relationship between the Profits and Seth Rollins, as a whole, because Montez is kind of still not on, he's still not a fan of Seth Rollins, but Angelo Dawkins is he seems to be rolling with Rollins a little bit. So I could see this putting that over the edge. And maybe this is a little bit more of an alliance between the Street Profits and Seth Rollins. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, and maybe, obviously we've seen the return, with Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
To the Vision. So this could potentially set up. I know we've kind of already had it like on Raw because you got a lot of stuff, but I could see like a 6-man tag kind of being really highly publicized for maybe not Clash in Italy, but for an upcoming WWE PLE, maybe the next Saturday's main event that's in Madison Square Garden or something like that, as we're seeing with like this women's tag team 6-man women's match that's on this card where it's just kind of star-studded. It's really feud-driven. Saturday's main event, obviously, got its start back in the day when WWE stars on TV for 4 hours a week was a little bit of a rarity. So I could see this kind of setting itself up to be like a future 6-man tag. And I can see the Street Profits, right? I've heard a lot of rumors recently that TKO and WWE are going to go heavy on, the tag team division. A lot of rumors, and a lot of people are talking that WWE backstage and, in the writer's room are talking about really amping up this tag team division, and amping up this tag team division means tag teams.
And really quick, not to get too far off on a tangent, but we could see a return of something that was really hot, maybe about, 8 years ago, give or take. We could see Enzo and Cass back in the WWE. There's a lot of rumors making the rounds that Enzo Amore has been backstage, and Big Cass, or Big Bill in AEW these days, his contract is reportedly up very soon. So maybe to your point with that tag division, maybe we see a return of Enzo and Cass. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun. They not in a good way, but they went out on top, really.
Yeah.
When they left the WWE. Obviously, Enzo had his issues. Big Cass got hurt, tried coming back, doing the singles run. Immediately, I think he returned like the night after WrestleMania one year, and immediately went after like Daniel Bryan for a non-title match in a main event style match at Backlash, and then he was gone soon thereafter. But yeah, when they were a tag team, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they made their debut as a tag team the night after a WrestleMania as well. WrestleMania, I think in Dallas, that Raw after in Dallas.
They were one of the hottest tag teams at a certain point in time back, a handful of years ago. Like like everybody was singing the songs, singing the catchphrases. They were over like Grover, as they like to say. So if the rumors are true and we see them come back, you just made the point about the tag team division and TKO WWE trying to infuse and make it bigger and better, why not bring those guys back? I guarantee if they come back, it'll probably be the pop of that night.
And in order to bring back a tag team division, you have to have organic tag teams, right? Putting two people together, like Logan Paul and Austin Theory. I mean, not saying anything negative them. Be honest with you, I think it's a great tag team, as they got their little group going in general. But overall, you don't want to just have, the Street Profits example, have a name. They're not just two singles competitors that are stuck together for a tag team, right? They are a tag team. It's really weird to see them not as a tag team. The Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, Enzo and Cass. These people, DIY. These people are tag teams. Motor City Machine Guns. List goes on, right? So those are, organic tag teams. And I thought the Motor City Machine Guns actually coming into WWE was going to hype up the tag team division with DIY and other teams like that. Obviously, they thought otherwise, but I hope they can get themselves some other, Hank and Tank, up on the main roster kind of things to really amp up the tag team division in WWE and really bring it back to prominence as it once was, back in the day. There's two other matches that are on this card, women's matches, obviously, because we've already talked about the two men's. A tag team match for the women for the tag team championships. Paige and Brie Bella, who won those titles at WrestleMania, taking on the former champions, the Irresistible Forces. Do you see Paige and Brie Bella, maybe this is the main event, and they win the match and they go off the air happy as can be? Or maybe we see a little bit of a Paige and Brie Bella breakup and the Irresistible Forces get the tag team back.
I'm gonna go with the previous part, the first part you said. I think they're gonna retain the titles. I think it's a little too early, a little too premature to split them up. I think you can do it. I think you could do it at a later date and still have time to build something before SummerSlam. So I would wait. I think I'm gonna pause on that part of it. So I think they're gonna retain.
And we got the 6-women tag team match. It's an all-star tag team match, similar to what I might say we get with the men with Street Profits division down the line. And it's Rhea Ripley teaming up with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, who are the traditional tag team, versus Jade Cargill, Michin, and B-Fab. Good for getting Michin and B-Fab kind of, on television off of, the dark match, house show circuit kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this match. Obviously, the star power is all on one side of things. I guess my thing is this like, is it all heels winning, all faces winning? If it's a mix, what mix are we getting on this whole card? Because again, the faces here would be Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss if you think that they're winning. So where do you see faces winning on this whole card, and where do you see heels winning?
I mean, I think the faces are going to win in this match. I think Ripley, Flair, and Bliss are going to win. I definitely see that. And then, I mean, I think it's a pretty face card. I mean, Paige and Brie, I said that they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think
Rook is going to win if it's not a title match.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty heavy face card. I really do. Faces winning card, I should say.
So 5 out of 5 faces winning this card is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty heavy on it. I mean, the only one I could see potentially, but I'm still going to go with Penta. Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be kind of cool to see Ethan Page get the title. I mean, they're gonna. It seems like that interview with Michael Cole they just did. They're really presenting Ethan Page to be a next big star in WWE. So it wouldn't surprise me, but maybe not so fast. Maybe at a future date. But don't be surprised at that. If there's one heel match that I could see, going in the heels direction, Ethan Page could definitely do it. But I'll still go Penta.
I will say that in Fort Wayne, which is a very small city for my short time in Fort Wayne, I don't know if they did this necessarily because WWE was coming to town, but I have to give them quite the props. A lot of people have recently been doing Pro Wrestling Night, so that's cool in general. If you're doing Pro Wrestling Night as part of your minor league baseball team and your promotion, I like that. The Rochester Red Wings here locally are going to be doing it with an appearance by Kevin Nash in about a week. But in Fort Wayne, where they did this about a week ago, they had the Salute to Pro Wrestling Night with an appearance from Ted DiBiase. Now, on top of just that, they wore Ted DiBiase $1 Million Man themed jerseys. And, it's easy to go Hulk Hogan. It's easy to go John Cena. It's easy to go the big names. But to, go Ted DiBiase themed jerseys, $1 Million Man suit jerseys, props to that because that is really going hard on your pro wrestling night in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I know it's a place that's a big wrestling crowd from, back in the 80s and 90s. So I think it's cool that they're making, a show at Fort Wayne based on, It's just not one of the, with TKO, obviously, we've just only seen them be hitting up the A towns, missing out on the B towns. So to have Saturday's main event in a place like that is pretty cool, I would say. And I'm looking forward to this card. And, I don't expect too much from it, but, it'll probably feel just similar to what we just saw at Backlash, right? Backlash felt like a Saturday's main event. So at least this is what is advertised, if you will.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll ask you quickly here while we are still talking Saturday's main event before we move on to something else. Is this the card of the weekend you're looking forward to, or is it the other?
I mean, honestly, this is to me because a lot of the matches that I'm seeing in AEW, I feel like they recycle a lot of the same names in the same matches. So, I mean, yeah, are they, the matchups cool and all that? Yeah, but I feel like I've seen it so many times that I would like to see, I'd like to see more of a refresh because it's like you go down the card, it's like, okay, Okada Takeshita. How many times have I seen that one?
Mm-hmm.
FTR, and then, Cage and Cope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, cool. Like a lot of this stuff to me, especially the tag matches, like I feel like they're like the Stadium Stampede.
We'll get into the card in a second. So I just wanted it's Saturday's main event. That is your card, your must see of the weekend.
I think it's gonna be more. I think it'll be better. If you're looking for entertainment, Saturday night's main event.
I'll tell you what, and this is where these two cards are quite the change of position because we already know that Saturday's card, without a pre-show, most likely no pre-show, is just going to be 2 hours, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Nothing before it, nothing after it. Probably not going to go long. If it does, it'll be 5 minutes or less, and that will be. And it's on a Saturday night, which is one where they could go long, but they're not. So it's kind of the real opposite of what we're expecting. But I'm guessing that Saturday's main event will probably be watched on Sunday morning in your house. So it'll feel like Sunday pay-per-view for you, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm an early riser, as we all know. We've talked about it before. So yeah, probably breakfast, and last night's show.
Breakfast and wrestling.
Yes.
All right.